All right, hey guys, welcome to another series with Masters in E-commerce for Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Andrew Strauss. Today I'm joined with Brian Meert of Advertisement. And this guy has been in the space for quite a while, 10 plus years. He's an entrepreneur, started in the financial side of things, running campaigns from the financial side, millions of dollars. Has built a team. Built a digital agency in the social media space, doing everything from Snapchat ads to Facebook to Instagram to you name it. He's done it. He's got a team of 35, and he's going to share he's going to drop some knowledge on us today when we get going on this. But yeah, Brian, let me know. I'm glad, and he's newly married, so that's a bonus. So, by the way, so filling in the folks here, if I missed anything, a little bit more about you and the agency, and we can go from there.
Yeah, thank you so much, for having me on the show. It's great to be here. And for everyone tuning in, I'm excited to be able to share some knowledge with you guys. I very much started out like a lot of you guys where, I started with digital marketing, and there wasn't a lot of people that were knowledgeable. I started back kind of when AdWords first came out. And that's, right. I got into that and was like, hey, what's this paid search? How's it working? And so a lot of it I had to learn through trial and error or figuring things out or reading, forums as people were talking about, I tried this or I tried that. So, I get the process of, trying to pick someone else's brain and figure out, what kind of nuggets do they know that I may not know. And so, yeah, over the last, we had our four-year birthday in the office here a couple months ago. So we're getting closer to probably 4.5. But yeah, it's just crazy to think. We joke about it in our office about it being called Facebook years or like dog years. Right. So for like every 1 year of what happens in Facebook advertising, it's like 7 years in real life because, we'll talk about, well, how long was that, before, Power Editor went away? And we'll be like, oh, that was forever ago. And it was like, it was within the last year. So, those type of things are like, man, stuff moves so quick and so rapidly that it just, it makes for, we have to hold on while we, figure things out and go through the process.
Yeah. That's the one thing about with Facebook ads and their ad, the business manager. It just changes so fast and rapidly. And now they have the Cambridge Analytic thing, and they're removing lots of like audiences. And so now people have these targeting things, and they're not going to work anymore. So it's like, you really got to be up on it, or hire guys like you to like learn, just have all the knowledge and just like you set it and forget it. And you pay a little bit of a fee, but you know what?
And that's, I could touch on that a little bit. Like, I understand anyone that's doing Facebook ads, there's a little bit of a pain point where you're like, man, this is tough to stay on top of. And our team, we do this full time. And it's difficult for us sometimes to even stay on top of it because there's so many moving parts, and something that worked well, 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden is no longer there. Or like what you're mentioning, certain targeting segments that were used in the past are now going to get, ad set shut off or, paused. So we've got to go back and look at those again. So lots of moving parts. We work with a lot of clients, and so it's funny to hear them be like, I was just in there a week ago and now something's different. Like, I don't know what these new buttons are doing. So you guys just handle it. It happens a lot, but if you've had some pain points with Facebook in the past, you're not alone.
Right. Yeah, that's what I find. It's a challenge. Yeah. So today, I think what we want to talk about, kind of, guys, is that I think the whole thing about, now that you've got your ad, and we can go back, but so you get your ad sort of dialed in a little bit, and then you want to take it to that next level. So you started out your bid at $5, and now you want to scale to 10 or 15 or 20. You found that magical ad set that was working for you, and the ads that's sort of converting after you're doing your split test A/B type stuff. What about scaling? Like, what are the guidelines? How do you do it? What's the the implications if you do it wrong? All that kind of stuff. Maybe we can go into that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's a great question, and that's one we get asked a lot, and one that we're continually dealing with. So there's definitely two sides. The first one is trying to find those ad sets or the ads that are working for you very well. And then step two is once you have those, how to be able to scale them up and actually grow from there. There's a lot of different techniques that we would use in the office. There's some where we run low budgets with a lot of ad sets and try to test the waters before we scale them up. There's other times where we will hyper focus and put a lot of our budget. We know exactly who we want to go after. And so we'll try to target a very specific one ad set. We put a lot of budget behind there, and then we try to ramp it up from there. Some of the things that you have to remember when it comes to ad sets and kind of ramping up, the first one is kind of the learning phase, which is where, you have to have at least 50 conversion events per ad set per week. That's the data that Facebook wants back to be able to analyze that. So, a lot of times people are like, I want to scale and they're only getting a small amount. So Facebook likes data. That's kind of a principle across the board. So the more data that you can get back to them, if like, for example, if, you're selling Ferraris, right? Selling 50 Ferraris per week per ad set, maybe, I don't know how many Ferraris sell, a week, but that may be something where they're like, that's tough for us to do in that large type of category. So a lot of times you can bring down the information. So the learning phase leads into one, which would be my elements, which is making sure that Facebook always has enough data. That's what you really want. And the more, sometimes people will bring it back from a purchase. So in the Ferrari example, they may go back to an add to cart or maybe just a lead, right? So that's not as potent as someone that's actually buying a Ferrari. So you want to make sure that you can get as much of the most potent information back into Facebook's world, because they've got tremendous amounts of data on every user, where they're going, what they're looking at, and they can be able to run comparisons kind of across the board. When it comes to scaling and kind of taking that and ramping up, I could talk about a couple of things that we've seen, in that process. One is, very rarely will we ever just hit the gas and be like, let's 10x the budget. Almost every time we've always done that. What it looks like is Facebook's like, we'll take that money and looks like you're in a rush. We'll gladly take money out of your pocket and put it into ours. Usually at most, it's going to be anywhere from 15 to 30% increases per day that happen gradually over time. We do that with a lot of automated rules that are set up into campaigns or specific ad sets that we're running, so that numbers are slowly incrementing and growing up as well. The other element that a lot of people will talk about scaling in terms of the system and being able to be like, are there ways to manipulate the system, or are there ways to where we can, outsmart the algorithm, what's going on? Again, kind of the big thing that Facebook wants is just data and then relevance. They want ads that are relevant to a user. And so the sheer nature of scaling is almost the opposite of what they want for relevance, because as you start to grow and reach more people, Facebook generally will show ads based on the likelihood that a person will complete an action. So if you and I are both being shown ads for a product to purchase, Facebook knows on the back end, I buy 10 things every day online. And they may see that you buy one thing every day online through their pixel and through their partners. So what that means is they're going to show the ad to me, and then someone that's 9, 8, 7, 6, until eventually they'll show the ad to you. So by sheer default, scaling will have a dramatic effect on your results. And so that's the one thing that a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm generating leads for $10. I now want 1 million of them. And we just, before we ever start, we'll have to talk and be like, well, it won't work that way. They will rise in price, but that's okay. That's what is to be expected with Facebook. And then the other element to scaling that I see a lot of people miss out is, and I talk about this all the time, is scaling your creatives. And I think that is one of the, Facebook ad platform is pretty straightforward, right? You target your ads to the right people. You get them in the right place. Maybe you use a lookalike, or, you just base off targeting or lifetime value of lookalikes. But once it comes in, what Facebook wants are ads that are valuable for their users. So users, when they see multiple ads, they skip over them because they've already seen it. They see the ad at the same time. So what happens is that dramatically, as you're trying to scale, will harm your relevance score. So while you're pushing the gas, there's a brake on the other end that's actually bringing you back down to earth. And so what we've implemented, a lot of what we do for our clients is scaling their creatives, which is the things that we see our Facebook loves when new videos are uploaded. So, if you're using the same video that's been uploaded a year ago, like Facebook can see that on the back end. Right. So they see this old video, they know the view counts, they know average view times, and all of those they have built into their algorithm to watch for and say, look, these numbers are going down. Right. You used to have a 30-second view time. Now it's 4 seconds. This video is old. And it's it's a natural curve that I think happens in all advertising. Like you don't see Super Bowl ads from 1999 still playing on TV. Right. People are like, I've seen them. They had their moment and they're done. So what happens is Facebook just has very hyper accelerated that process. That in TV advertising, it's generally like seasonal, or they'll run an ad for a while and then it's every quarter. Now we have clients where we're creating ads on a weekly basis. Some of them even a daily basis, where there's something new that's going in there that's talking about different elements of the business and what's going on. So, I could talk all day about it, but
I do want to keep going on that, because there are a couple things on that point. So a couple things. One is the myth that you needed only 50 sales or conversions. I didn't know that was on a daily basis, on continual basis. When I hear a lot of guys saying you need 50 conversions, it's like they think it's overall for the whole thing to get the conversion. But what you're saying is that you need it on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Well, so now what happens is the learning phase, a little icon will appear. It says you're going through a learning phase, and eventually it will turn off. But on Facebook's end, they've got an algorithm, and that algorithm, the fuel for it is data.
Right.
And so when you're pushing more data through it, it's it's lighting up. It's got more, things that it can run to be able to find, better people. And that's what it wants to do. That's what makes it different from every other form of advertising on the planet, is they have the ability to be like, if we're going to show our ad to 1 million people, let's get it to the very best person first, and then the number 2, and then number 3, and work our way down from there.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do on the back end. So if you don't give them that data, it's going to become incredibly difficult to scale. So not only do they need that data, which is generally just in the form of, paid money or ads, but the flip side of that coin is you have to have quality ads and new ads and things that people haven't seen more than 3, 4, or 5 times. And that's it.
And so when you're scaling, do you increase the budget on the existing ad set, or do you duplicate the ad set and increase that by 15%?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different options you can use now. So they've now got campaign optimization, where you can have multiple ad sets underneath it, and it'll actually adjust the ad sets automatically based on the results they're seeing. So if I was targeting, if I had a leads campaign, I'm targeting men and women, each with a $5,000 budget a day. Over time, if I run that, it may start to bring down the men and say we're only spending $3,000 and give $7,000 to women. So there's that ability there. Now, again, what we found is a lot of times when you put the bidding and the budgeting and that stuff on Facebook, there's moments where it works really well. There's also moments where the cruise control, you're like, wait a minute, like you just spent a whole bunch of money in the area that you like. And they'll say, well, we were learning, we were trying to figure stuff out. I think when you're paying the bill, sometimes you're like, I'm taking that off cruise control and I'm just going to drive myself. So, that's something that you've got to look at. But, in terms of ad sets, we're usually what we do is it's manual, and we are increasing the ad sets on their own individually. Sometimes through automated rules. We set those up for a lot of campaigns that we're running to make sure that, by default, if specific metrics are being hit, then the campaign will start to scale up or scale down automatically.
Right. Cool. And then you were saying about new creative or scaling new creative. So you're kind of just is it sort of like a split test type of thing, or you kind of just taking that video that you have, a new video, and putting that in our customer testimony, keeping the same kind of content that you have, or the copy and then just slipping in a video or an image or something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple different techniques that we can use for this. One is we use dynamic creatives a lot. So you have the ability to upload one ad, but you can upload a variety of different variations of your copy, your call to action button, your videos, images, description. And then once that's there, it'll create up to like 4,000 or 5,000 variations of the ad within one ad unit. So the upside there is Facebook, again, loves their own systems. So, you know, a lot of times those ones have no problem being able to scale because Facebook's like, we're trying to determine which one's best. So we can do that with, you know, some new creatives, or, you know, we can bring in copywriters, graphic designers, video editors are all working on, let's put in these variations of it. And then eventually we can start to watch the reports and see which ones are performing best. So that's one element that allows you to scale. Another one that we use a lot of, your question was ad creatives. So a lot of times if we have multiple areas that we're testing, we'll create a single ad and then we will use that same ad for all of them. So we link them all together. So instead of having 20 different ads with the exact same copy, we use the same ad ID or post ID and bring in that specific ad. So what happens is all that budget is going onto a single ad, which, you know, kind of stores all of the social proof, you know, the likes, the comments, the shares. It's all happening under a single ad that will allow it to really, and again, that's a number that the Facebook algorithm will light up with. Meaning it sees a lot of that. It knows there's, hey, whatever's going on in this one specific ad is doing very well. And they'll hit the gas on that.
Yeah, because I know that Facebook ID, if you have likes, shares, and comments on one and then you start a new ad, you can pull those over into that ad, right? So that gives it that instant, like, you know, proof, social proof of the new stuff, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is why you link the ads, is because it keeps it consistent. So if I run one ad and already has, you know, 1,000 comments on it, I can do another campaign and bring in that same ad and get another 1,000.
I see.
Now, what happens is eventually over time, those, you know, will start to get ad fatigue or they wear out. The other thing that can happen is, and this is something that will tremendously affect scaling, is the negative feedback. So it's something that, you know, a lot of people don't pay attention to. But in your reports, if you go down to any specific ad, you can add positive and negative feedback.
I see.
And when ads first start, usually they have a lot of positive feedback, and they'll start, you know, they'll do fine. Over time, as people see the ad again and again and again, and this happens a lot when you're trying to hit the gas, is people will see the ad 2, 3, 4 times and they'll go up and click, don't show me this ad anymore. And that can tremendously hurt your campaign. So a lot of times we build in systems or metrics to kind of help limit the frequency on the amount of times people would see a specific ad. Or we make sure that there are some ways to bring out the people who are seeing it, either through custom audiences or through some of the pixel data, to be like, if someone has gone through there or watched this video more than a certain percentage, make sure to exclude them.
I see.
Move them into another area. That would be another secret sauce that I'd say, is we do a lot of segmentation with custom audiences. And so the approach of just, let's get one ad and show it to everyone, or one ad and remarketing. We do a ton of segmentation and really try to create ads that are speaking to people at different points in the funnel based on where they're at. Meaning, you know, if I'm considering buying a Ferrari and I haven't really done it, what we would do is set up probably 20 to 50 different ads that are talking about all the different things that would build credibility or build trust or build desire in that product back to that person. Here's other influencers that drive it. Here's celebrities that drive it. Here's all the features, one by one by one. And what happens is someone that's interested in that is going to pay attention to those. And it's generally very inexpensive to reach those people.
Right. So how do you segment a custom audience? I didn't even know you really could do that kind of thing
Yeah,
with
I
that.
mean, so there's in terms of custom audiences, I mean, the last was 55 plus. I mean, there's more than 55 different ways.
Right.
You can do it based on people visiting your site. You can base it off,
Right.
uploading data, things like that. You can also
Right.
do it off stuff like lifetime value. So what that
Mm,
means is, if you upload a list of 1,000 people, Facebook will say, all
right.
right, here's 1,000 people. But in lifetime value, if you assign a value, so here's all my customers and how much they
Mm,
spent, they're going to look, and based off the five who are spending $1 million with you, and there may be
right.
five that spend $1 with you, they're going to assign more weight to the people with the higher value.
Right.
And that's awesome, because that means they're going to find more people like your best customers and try to
Right.
reach them first, as opposed to everyone in your list. Um,
Right.
there's also things, I mean, you can segment based off people who engaged with you on Facebook or Instagram. You
Right.
can do video views based on different percentages. There's a
Right.
lot of different kind of things that you can start to build. And then there's
Right.
advanced stuff like you can do it based on button clicks on your site or
Mm,
time on site or things like that,
right.
that you can start putting into place with some of the more customized events. But all of
Right.
that can be put back into really knowing more about the journey that you want customers to make. And while they're
Right.
making it, it's you just have advanced tools where
Right.
10, 20 years ago, I'm just going to get a big billboard and a TV ad and a print ad and
Right.
just pound you with it 1,000 times until you're like, oh, I need that. Now I
Right.
can talk to you 1,000 different ways on your journey to get you exactly
Right.
where I want you to go.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it is super powerful what you can do with that, right? If you have the right mindset and understanding. And I guess, I'm sure in terms of relevance scores and in terms of like targeting things, right? I'm sure people have come to you and asked you, "Hey, Brian, what's the best thing? What's the average? What should I do?" Right? And
Yeah.
it's there. I mean, is there a right average, or is it more test?
Now, so, and that's it's something we get asked that quite a bit. It's a great question. There's it's Facebook's different for every client. Meaning,
Right,
if we had two almost identical products, like if I had Pepsi and Coke, I could run ads, and based on their creatives, the
right,
CPMS and the CPCs could be totally different.
right,
So I mean, there's a lot of factors in that. And so I know people are like, I want to know, like, are there benchmarks? Are things that are there? There's some reports that are out there floating around that you can hunt
right,
down. They'll give you some ideas, but for the most
right,
part, generally what you want to focus on are your relevant scores good? And say good meaning 7 or higher. If they're lower than that, you're going to need to look at
right,
Facebook's built on quality, and
right.
they have the luxury of doing that. So I mean, there's 5 million advertisers that are all trying to show you an ad. They're like, we get to pick one by one which ad's going to go to you,
Right.
and that's based primarily on money. But right
Mhm.
behind it, a close second is quality for you. Meaning,
Right.
if you're like, what is this? Why am I seeing ad for something I don't care about?
Right.
Facebook doesn't want to ever show that to you again.
Right.
And if you keep using the system and platform, they can keep showing you ads and generating billions of dollars, a month or a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And then in terms of frequency, like, what is the right number? Is it under one? Is it one? Like what?
The under one's actually really funny because it feels like that sometimes. So
Right.
there was a research document I read. It's probably over a year ago, where they said they had detected that 5 was kind of the magic number, where a person, once they get to 5, are like, all right, I'm scrolling over at 100% now.
Right.
And then they said once it gets to 10, it was actually really bad. Meaning,
Right.
like, they're like, if they see any part of something that their brain recognizes, they're
Right.
like, I'm over that.
Right.
I would say it's lower than that now. Like, that was a
Mm.
year ago. I would say
Right.
it's closer to probably 3. It's
Mm.
kind of my
Okay.
gut feeling on when we start to see, usually, as results start to maybe would make a bend in the graph in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, like, all right, we're not getting as good of results. So 3 is kind of our magic number that we shoot for. I mean, we have some
Okay.
campaigns that maybe have a little bit more. We have some
Mm.
that have a little bit less. It will
Right.
depend. I mean, if you're doing B2B targeting, sometimes you have a small audience and there isn't
Right.
a lot of people that you can go to. So your, relevance is going to be higher. And on that one, that goes back to just scaling your creative, meaning if you're reaching everyone once a day, you're going to need, an ad every 1 to 2 days, something new that's a different point. And while that seems like a lot of work and challenging, I view it the opposite way, which is you now have the ability to reach the exact person that you want and have a meaningful conversation with them every day. So if you do that, it's game over. Like and I say that, like, a good example would be when I open my newsfeed now on Facebook, I don't see anything except for stuff about Facebook ads and companies doing Facebook ads or people saying, I can teach you Facebook ads or Instagram ads. And that's all I see now. I don't see any fun ads anymore. It's all about, the industry. But to some extent, Facebook knows that and it happens automatically. And for me, it's what I do every day on a daily basis. So it feels natural. And that's awesome. Those companies that want to reach other people in that industry are reaching the right person. I just think a lot of times people approach it in terms of, I'm going to put one ad in front of me. Oh, it didn't work. And I'm like, you forget that you got my attention. It might've been for half a second. It might've been for 2 seconds, but you got your ad exactly in front of the person who you wanted to. And maybe I couldn't purchase that day because I was busy, but that doesn't mean that I'm not the right person that you're trying to get your ad in front of. And so I think that there's a little bit more of a long game approach that goes into Facebook advertising, which is tough because people generally approach digital advertising of, I need results. I'm going to put $1 in. There better be $2 that pops out the other side today, or it's a huge failure. And I think people are forgetting you're reaching the right person. So, like, you've already done 90% of the battle. That last little bit is just give them something that they think is cool or interesting or will find valuable in their day.
So do you find that when you're running these ads, I mean, is it a close a sale right now kind of stuff, like an impulse kind of buy, or is it more a longevity, more of a long-term kind of thing? Like, I mean, you scaled it, you're getting in front of those people. What's a sales process like? I mean, I guess there's a consumer product and there's a business-to-business side of things, right? So it could be two.
I would say at least 9 out of 10 people that I talk with, hundreds of different businesses all the time. 90% of them come and they may say, like, well, we need some branding, we need some stuff. All of those will come back and be like, all right, we just want sales. Like, get us sales, get us sales, get us sales. And I think in the digital world, that's kind of expected because the data's there. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they were like, well, you have to spend money on TV. You're going to spend it. And then let's wait and see what happens. Now that's happening, real time. Campaigns are turned on and off in the same day based on numbers. And I think it's better because it's more efficient. You're able to put your money in the right places. The downside to that is I think there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions that the number of times I've seen a campaign that's been like, it's not good, not good, not good. Like, and we're making changes every day. And all of a sudden it will hit that critical mass and just explode. And a lot of times there's things hidden on the back end of the algorithm that a lot of people don't know about. Things like holidays or sales. When those words are used in your copy, Facebook knows when it's Labor Day and you've got a Labor Day sale ad, like, it places, I don't know this, they've never told me this, but from my results, I've seen it happen numerous times. They place a higher weight on that because they say it's related to a point in time that will come and will go. And so a lot of times, just by simply redoing your ads with something like that, you can get your results to far exceed what they were in the past.
Right. And then when you're redoing your ads, you're just adding another ad. So you're not changing the existing ad that you're doing. You create a new one and create another one. Or would you go into?
Almost always. Very rarely do we go in and edit the same ad and make changes. I try to think if we ever do that. I don't know if we do. Like, what we generally do is we'll take it, duplicate it, make the changes on that one, and then A/B test that and kind of run it towards those.
So when you're running those ads, right, I know, like, in Google, you can kind of wait. Like, so in Google, I used to do was that we run, say, you create 5 of the same ads, or you create 3 of the same ads and do one, so that you could have 25% of this one and then 75% of these ones because they're working. So you can kind of split and test to see how well that goes. is that really needed in Facebook when you're doing the ad type things or when you're running things like that? Or is it kind of just like you let the algorithm kind of run and just have 4 different ads?
What's crazy is, and this is the one feature I've been nuts about, being like, I wish they would do it. And we've talked to the actual programmers or engineers that built it, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do it. But when you put in 5 different ads into Facebook, usually within, man, it's within a day, maybe 2 days, they kind of pick one winner. Right. And they will show that one winner at least 70% of the time, if not more. So it's, on AdWords, you have the ability to say, I want you to optimize for the best or show them equally. Right. And so a lot of times, there's a lot of work that goes into creating ads. And so for Facebook to just be like, we're going to kick out 4 of them, when barely any budget's been spent, is frustrating. And, we've talked to them about it and been like, do we need the other way? And they're like, no, because we've already determined your best ad. And I'm like, I'd like to be a part of that process. Yeah. Because I don't always think they get it right. Just because they have a couple of indicators, they usually do it with a small level of data. And I'm like, I'd rather get more data. Sure. But they don't do it yet. And I don't think they're going to build that in.
Right. They're not listening to your comments. Another question I had is like, so some people say business to business just doesn't work on Facebook. Is that true, or is that just a myth?
Nah, so business to business is different on Facebook. So, Facebook's by nature a business to consumer platform. I mean, they got over 2 billion users. You can reach over 1 billion of them every day on the site. So, I mean, that's great. And so, I mean, that's generally consumer. It's like, yay, like we can do who we want and those type of people. The business targeting is generally done by what you say, where you work or what you do. So some of the issues there are people updating that every time they get a new job, or they going in and updating their profile to make sure it's accurate. I mean, I think that was very early days of Facebook, is I want to give all my information so people know about me. Now people are like, I kind of use it for everything. I think with Facebook building Workplace, is trying to build a tool for businesses. I think that was kind of an investment to try to build out their B2B type targeting and get more value, in the business world. But the answer is, can you target on a B2B and do well? 100%. It's just not as good as kind of B2C. So, I mean, that's like what it's built for, and that's what it does very well. We have run numerous B2B campaigns that work very, very well for the clients. We're generally, in comparison with what they're paying on other platforms, is much, much less. It just may be something that isn't an unlimited amount. And I mean, a great story is we ran one for a client one time. And these guys came and they're like, we want to reach people that work in the marketing department at hospitals. Wow. And so, I mean, you imagine that. And I was like, all right, like we're going to be down in the thousands. I mean, I don't think we're going to go much above that. And sure enough, we got in there and it was, and we were in there updating ads every day because it was a small group and we were trying to get different stuff in there. I think we were doing lead gen, and at the end of 30 days, we went back and we're like, man, we're really bummed. We only generated you 3 leads. And they're like, what are you talking about? All 3 of those signed up. One of them is like a $1.8 million contract. Well, this is the best campaign we've ever run. Like, hands down, you've just blown out everything else that we've done. And so it's funny to think, 3 leads, maybe it's not worthwhile. But instead, all 3 of those people picked up the phone and they're like, all right, I'm seeing your ads every day. Like, I know who you guys are. But I'm seeing you every single day. What's going on? Let's talk. We have this project coming up. We need your help. And so I think, again, that just goes back to realizing, you may be reaching that right person and getting in front of them, but they may not want to download your lead form or fill it out or do something. So how can you leverage that to get your message across? I mean, I think there's a lot of really creative options to where, I mean, you can create videos and be like, hey, I know you're, you work in hospitals. It's tough. We're getting a hospital marketing department. And, everyone's going to be like, wait, what? Like, about that. So those are the upsides when you get into B2B, is you can get very specific and very targeted toward the people you're talking to get their attention. I just think you can't do the billboard approach where it's just like, hey, just here's my company and my logo. You've got to talk to those people like you would talk to them on the street.
Sure.
say something to them that would stop them on the street and allow you to have a conversation.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, that's killer stuff. I mean, there were some huge nuggets in there, guys. I mean, Brian just like dropped some knowledge there, and that was amazing. Because yeah, I always thought about business. This targeting, everything's really amazing. I do have like two questions I want to ask you, kind of like for yourself. Yeah, these are easy compared with you. Are there tools of choice that you use on a daily basis that you would say, hey, guys, you should use these things when you're building your ads or doing things or trying to find targets and stuff?
So that's a good question. Man, so I mean, a lot of what we do is in the core of Ads Manager. I mean, it used to be Power Editor, but within kind of the Business Manager and Ads Manager.
Right.
Over the years, there's been numerous tools that have kind of come up that we check out and look at. Man, I'm trying to think. Most of those have been taken from those companies that built them and brought in to where a lot of those we have those features now. I mean, some of the things that I do use, I think Ad Espresso has an ad library. We're always in there, poking around, looking at different examples. So before we start to create an ad, we're like, what are other people doing, and can we glean any best practices from other companies? We don't use that as much now anymore because you can see all the ads on any competitor site through the infos and ads tabs.
They added that.
So that's where we go now. We go right to, all right, who are the top competitors? What are they doing? And we look at that. And so if that's something that you're not doing, your competitors are most likely doing that to you and being like, thanks for all the hard work. We're going to have some tips on you. So, I mean, it's just, it's one more thing that was added to our list of things to do. But now, definitely it pays because we're able to use wording that's consistent with the industry, to see what other people are, long form, short form, creative ideas, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then is there any like book or websites or blogs that you read to keep current?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, in regards to books, boom.
Oh, there you go. There it is.
This is a book I wrote. It's a bestseller on Amazon. It's going to be.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, no worries. It's called The Complete Guide to Facebook Advertising. It's big. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's going to go through a lot of the basics and fundamentals. So someone that's coming and being like, man, I'm just starting out. But we've got a lot of little nuggets hidden in there as well about some things that we've learned or that are best practices on here's what you should be doing in this area or that area. We're working on, our plan was to revise it on a yearly basis. So we've got a new one that's in the works now. It won't come out till closer to Christmas. But that will have, I mean, even a year in Facebook feels like forever.
I know.
When we're doing the updates, we're like, this one is, it's got some stuff that we're like, man, that's like, I think this one has Power Editor in it and it's not even 12 months old. So it's, it's just, it moves so quick. So it's really funny, but, so we're working on an update. It'll come out about Christmas time as well, with another version, which is good. And we're just going to kind of keep doing that every year. But it's a great resource that you can do. Yeah. We also have on our blog, advertisemint.com/blog. We have an entire team of writers that are scouring the internet, looking for topics on Facebook to try to get them back into the hands of people who are looking to stay on the cutting edge as quickly as possible. On there, I think we have a messenger bot where we send out the very best one tip every day that's happening in the world of Facebook or kind of social ads. So, we're sifting through a lot of stuff and trying to get that back in front of people. We have our team pick the top article, and it could be us, it could be someone else that writes it. And we're like, look, we know you're busy. We want to get you the one thing that we think you should know about today. And I think you can find that on the blog as well. It's got a link to.
Yeah, it's a really good resource, guys. So check it out for sure.
Nice.
So Brian, where is the best place people can reach you? They want to contact you want to get to your agency. They want to find out more about you, blogs, books, where would they contact you? As
you can tell, I'm a talker. I love to talk with people and connect and hear stories and problems when it comes to Facebook ads. On social media, on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or even YouTube is all Brian Meert. So BrianMeert. So feel free to follow me on any of those or connect with me there. I love If you're on LinkedIn, shoot me a LinkedIn request, again, under the same name. And then our company is Advertise Mint, so ADVERTISEMINT.com. And we love, we love working with great companies. Generally we take a lot of work off people's plates, and they're like, it's great knowing we're working with an entire team that's helping us with this one area while I can focus on other things. So if you want to, chat or have someone maybe review your ad account and be like, hey, what are my options? Feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate the time. I know you're a busy guy. Thanks for coming on. And we definitely have to do a 2.0 because there's so much more that I would want to go into. Nice. But, it could take 8 hours. So thanks for coming on, and we'll chat soon.
You got it. All right.
Take care.